California, it can get hot. We're talking days in and days out throughout the summer of 105+ degree weather. So I'm going to give you my top 10 perennials that can take the California heat. Oh my goodness, you're crazy. You're crazy. You're crazy. What do you do? Okay, you want to be in the video? You can be in the video. Okay, you can be in the video. All right, so I need to throw out a little disclaimer here. Here in Zone 9, California, we cannot grow plants like hydrangeas in full sun. If we could, they'd be number 1, and we can end the list right there. My list here at number 10 is the AGAPANTHUS, also known as Lily of the Nile. These would be so much higher on my list if everybody wasn't growing them in our area. I mean, literally every house, shopping center, freeway, everyone has these in their garden, and it's for good reason. They're bulletproof. You could overwater them or underwater them. If you buy the larger one at the garden center, you can actually divide them right out of the pot. You can typically buy one, get say 3 or 4 for free. So that's a cool way to save a little bit of money. They're planted in masses. They look beautiful. My oldest son actually used to call them the firework flower because, as you can see, they look like the ones that shoot up in the air and then kind of explode. But you can get them in light blues, purples. You can get them in whites, which look really cool in like contemporary gardens. These look really great in a pot, just kind of singular, kind of spilling over, and then they bloom. They're just beautiful plants. They should be much higher on my list. Definitely consider putting these in your garden, but we'll start them out at number 10. Okay, so coming in at number 9 is the Verbena berryensis. And if used right, this is a beautiful plant. Now, as a singular specimen, it's gonna look like a weed. However, if you tuck this in with other plants and maybe like a heavily packed garden bed, these will find the little gaps within, and all of a sudden you'll see a little purple stalk stick out and these little flowers at the end of it. Really cool plant. I like to tuck them in the back of like ornamental grasses. You can tuck them in with roses, and again, they just kind of fill in the little gaps of your garden bed and give it a little pop of purple in the garden. So they're drought tolerant. They're easy to grow. They're just beautiful plants. Consider putting them in your garden somewhere. So they made it in at number 9. Okay, so coming in at number 8 is the California fuchsia. This plant should be used way more often than it is. I don't think anybody really either knows about it or uses it. I'm not exactly sure why, but these are super drought tolerant. You almost like never need to water them. They are a California native, hence the California fuchsia. I think a lot of people think they're salvias, so maybe they discount them because there's so many other salvias out there, but it's got a very cool kind of red-orange flower to it. The leaves are kind of a silvery, light greenish color. Should be used way more in the garden, about 24 inches tall, about 36 inches wide, and they are absolutely bulletproof. I think the only way to kill it is if you like overwater it, but these are cool plants, should be used way more often, and they come in at number 8. And coming in at number 7 is the Black-Eyed Susan. And I'm sure most of you guys have this way higher on your list. And I like this plant too, but the only problem with it is it's like one of those plants where like it just looks ugly and ugly and ugly and ugly like throughout the whole year. And every year I'm like, oh God, I should take this out of the garden. And then all of a sudden it blooms and you're like, you totally redeemed yourself. It just, like, I don't know, it just looks like a pile of nothing for like almost the whole year. And then just at the end of the summer when everything's kind of tired, these things just explode and they look stunning when they do. I actually plant them with some Spanish lavender. So the second flush of Spanish lavender mixed in with that yellow, I think Goldstrom is what I have. It looks so good. But again, like all year long, it just looks terrible. So that's why I use it. I put that Spanish lavender in front of it as kind of like a hedge, and then the Goldstrom is planted behind it, the Black-Eyed Susan. So then you don't really see it until it really kind of just pops up and flushes in that whole area. This is a great plant. Everybody seems to love it. I'm sure you do too. It could be higher on the list if it wasn't for just like that unsightliness all through spring and early summer. Okay, coming in at number 6 is a plant that you don't have on your list, but I have on mine because I love it. It's the Euphorbia. Now, this plant looks like it's from outer space. It looks like it came from Jupiter or something, but they bloom very early. They hold onto their flowers for a very long time. They're pretty drought tolerant. They can take a lot of sun. This is just a great plant. You should definitely consider having in your garden. I love the one called Silver Swan. I have a bunch of those in my garden. Growing with lavender or other purple flowers, the variegated and the white flower and the purple of the lavender, it looks super cool together. This one's a very small one. It only gets about 24 inches. They make a great big one with yellow flowers. This is just a cool plant. Again, it looks like it's from outer space. Definitely consider putting this in your garden. And coming in at number 5 is CATMINT. Who doesn't like CATMINT? I like CATMINT. You like CATMINT. Cats like CATMINT. Everybody likes CATMINT. In fact, I think it used to be in cottage gardens, roses and lavender. And I think more and more gardeners nowadays are using roses and CATMINT for lots of reasons. I think they could take a little more water than lavender can. Also, you can get them to flush 3 times in a year in a growing season. The bottom of the stalk all the way to the tip is usually covered in flowers. So I think people like that about this plant a lot more. They make a big one called Walker's Low, which is I think probably their best seller or the one that I see the most at the garden center. There's a little dwarfy one, really cute, called Cat's Pajamas. And that's a 1 foot tall by 2 foot wide plant. So again, I love CATMINT. Everybody loves CATMINTs. Cat loves CATMINTs. You love CATMINTs. Everybody loves CATMINTs. This is a great plant, and it's in at number 4. So coming in at number 4 is Gaura, and I love this plant. It can take a ton of heat. It's low water. On a windy day, they almost like dance in the wind. It's also known as bee blossom because the bees love it. Also known as fairy flower. Because again, it looks like when it's in the wind, it's just dancing. It looks like little butterflies flying around. It's a beautiful plant. I have a small one called BELLEZA White. I have a bunch of those in my garden. I love that plant. They make great big ones, like big pink ones. They make big pink and white ones. The white ones seem to be kind of on the smaller end. But again, these are just beautiful plants. They're extremely drought tolerant. They can take all the sun you can put on them. And on a windy day when they're dancing in the wind. Now, I personally don't like them in groupings. So if you plant them all together, to me, it gets messy. It's almost like your preference between like a singular dancer or a group dancer. So again, I just like to have, a couple specimens here and there. I think it looks absolutely beautiful, especially on a windy day. All right, we did it. We're finally at the top 3 full sun perennials in my opinion. And coming in at number 3 is Lantana. Now this is a plant that you can pick up as a ground cover. You can turn it into a hedge. You can turn it into a gigantic shrub. This plant is one of those plants that literally you can plant like in the middle of a desert and it'll survive somehow. It's extremely drought tolerant. It can take all the sun in the world. It's a great plant. Bandana red is one of my favorites. I also really like the yellow one from Proven Winners called BANANARAMA. Not only is it a cool plant, it's got a great name, but this is one you should definitely consider putting in your garden. Great plant, bulletproof, low water. Put it in your garden right now. Coming in at number 2 is the lavender. Now I have a huge thing for lavender. I've got a ton of it in our yard. On a hot day, when you walk out back, all you smell is lavender. I love it. I've got about 25 or 30 French lavenders. I've got a ton of Spanish lavender. With our roses, I've got some English lavender. I just love lavender. They don't require a lot of work. You do have to cut them back once a year. But man, they're low water. They smell great. Also, when you've been waiting all winter for your garden to just do anything, spring rolls around, the weather heats up, and then all the lavender just flushes out of the garden and kind of kicks off the growing season. So again, these are a great plant. You should definitely have some in your garden. I love them. You should love them too. And coming in at number 1, my favorite full sun perennial is Salvia. I mean, can you name a bad Salvia? I can't. They come in all shapes, all sizes, all colors. They're all drought tolerant. They're all low maintenance. They don't care about the pH of your soil. They're just a bulletproof plant. Also, birds, bees, hummingbirds, they all love this plant. I have hummingbirds that come like literally daily and visit, my Salvia. I have one that's called Autumn Sage. It's a Greggii, and that sucker blooms from March all the way to November. I have CARADONNA, which I grow with a lot of roses. And there's a great big one. It's beautiful. White and red kind of heart-shaped flowers. It almost looks like a bleeding heart. It's called Hot Lips. So again, the birds, bees, butterflies all love it. I love it. You should love it. That's why it's my number 1 favorite full sun perennial. All right, well, there you have it. Those are my top 10 full sun perennials. And again, my list is probably different than your list, and that's A-okay. I'm guessing most of you are wondering where the coneflower is, or the Echinacea. And I did grow Echinacea pallida from seed this year. I saw it in somebody else's garden, had to have it, took seed. Luckily, these little guys did sprout, so I cannot wait to put these in the garden. Maybe by the end of the season, they'll be much higher on the list, and I'll share the video with you later on. However, do consider leaving a comment below. I would love to hear what your top 3 perennials are for full sun, or which plants are not on my list that should be on the list. So again, leave those comments below and I will make sure to check those out. And while you're here, consider hitting like, subscribe, and doing all that other fun stuff. And we'll catch you in the next video.